Very well. So I would even suggest that we, in case you have a question or a comment, you can use the chat here at Zoom. Yeah. So anytime I'm watching the chat already. So all the time you have a question, please place it, because the way I work is very much process oriented. So I don't mind if there's a question just in between, and I see if it fits to the context right now. Other questions we will do at the end of the session. Yeah. Or you can also raise your hand in case you would like to say something. Then our administrator Auke will see who raised his hand and give the word to you.
Yeah.
So, yep. As the time is quite short, I suppose that you already got with the invitation the case study I'd like to present here, because you could read through at the beginning. So I won't read through this case study for you. My intention here is to really share the basic insights of this project with you, and then share ideas, what you have or questions you have, how we are working, how you are working, and basically what does it mean for your context, so we can translate maybe some interventions or some ideas and make this idea even bigger, that it really benefits the most of you. So that's my idea to go through this. So I will basically focus on some aspects that come up and some basic insights we had during this case study. Yeah, so as Auke opened up here, we are a bit special in our processes, the way we work. It is quite agile. Yeah. So the company, my background is here. You can see in the chat room. That's the company's name I founded, and here is also a name of an intervention we used during the process, which you found also in your case study. So just to give you a short background of my person, or my personality, my persona. My name is Jochen Messner. I'm 46. I'm a father of 2 kids. I'm married to an Austrian lady. And my location is here in Germany, in the south of Germany, Bavaria, near Rosenheim. So near the Alps, near the mountains. Yeah. My background is I'm working as an organizational developer or organizational consultant. And I've been doing this in different settings or with different focuses during the last 18 years. My education background is based on psychology. It's based also on music and soma therapy, and further educations in many business coaching directions. Yeah. So basically, our work is influenced by many theories and models. We try to use classical management theory, and we try to really wove it into different aspects of depth psychology based on Jung, for instance, on mythology based on Joseph Campbell, on different psychology and therapy directions, and the basic fields we use is actually the field of CAS, complex adaptive systems. Yeah, like the whole complexity theory and the big guys standing behind there in Isolan Institute and locations like that. That is our influence we take, and it's already an integral approach, as you can see. Many facets, from many directions. We combine models or insights or basic thoughts to work with organizations. And the organizations we work with are really they are very different. So we work with artists, let's say musicians in Germany, like Clouseau or some hip hop bands. Yeah. We also work with in the NGO sector, like Viva Con Agua is we worked with them from the scratch, from the start, and we work also with many bigger or smaller players from business industries. In this case, it is a startup that was founded 2010, located in Cologne, yeah, near Düsseldorf, like Silke knows. And yeah, I can tell you there are organizations out there that are really they are really working on future aspects of management, also on future aspects of a economic model that is far out and in the, they make the first steps into a new economy. And that's always making me happy, because we have so many customers we work with. We have to deal with basic ideas on how the world is functioning as a living system and as a complex system, and it's not to be controlled or not to be managed. And in this case, we have a very pleasant customer, because they are really keen to know about the world, and they really open. We had an open system to work with, not from the start, but they opened up quite easily and quite fast, and therefore it was a great pleasure to enable them and to guide them through their development as an organization. So, in short, the company, or in case you have any thoughts or any questions, please put it in the box, put it in the chat box. Otherwise, I continue. Founded in 2010, they had three founders, three personalities. They were very different from each other. So they brought in three different qualities and aspects. The one is a financial guru. He's a genius. Really, he knows that he done his math. That's why they never had problems to get money from the bank or get capital to do their startup. The other is a customer focused and really he's really good in going into relation with people. And the third one is a visionary. Yeah, he has a bright mind, a lot of ideas, and even now, nowadays we are working on so many projects. I cannot tell you right at the moment, because it's some things are still secret, yeah, before they arise in the world. But they have great ideas for the future. But so far, these three had a brilliant idea. They had the idea of building backpacks for children with ergonomic back and ergonomic straps and things like that. So pupils had it easier to carry their backpacks. That was the basic idea. So they entered a market that was already there, which is not easy for a startup. They didn't have a completely new product, but they had a better idea. And so they had to really fight hard in this field, and that already showed a lot of energy in the orange sector, yeah, in the orange code, if we're speaking of spiral dynamics here. So these three founders started from scratch. They built up the company. They started with friends. They really recruited from their families, from their friends, and they grew to, I don't know, in the first startup phase, there were about 30 people or something. And then it quickly evolved and quickly grew from, let me see, they started with, where are the numbers? They started 2010 with around 240,000 euros. And 2018, they already had 70 million turnover and more than 250 employees. So they grew from 30 to 250. Yeah, and this is really a success story that was handed over to the press, and everyone was telling about it. They won a lot of prizes, but you know, in the first session they really worked hard on it. So they really had the archetype of an athlete or the archetype of a warrior there. Everyone was very dedicated, very committed to bring this company forward. So a lot of orange code is working here, a lot of healthy orange, because they really wanted to win this market and want to build up a strong and solid company with friends. And this is basically also one of the first insights we had while we were connected to them in 2015. And by that time, they already had a growth rate from 80 to 180. So they really were in the position that, okay, we want to keep our familiar connection and the way we work and the way we recruit from our deepest friends and family network. We want to keep that. We want to keep this culture, this open, friendly, between the doors, you know, it's easy. You do this, I do that. It's not a lot of structure. It's very agile. It's very easygoing. Yeah. And we easily make money. Yeah. And rule the world of backpacks and things like that. So that was the beginning when they got us in, because the founders realized that you cannot continue a company and run it with 180 people like you run it with 30 people. So that was the question: how to deal with that situation, not going into a what they thought a bureaucracy. Yeah. So one of their pain was we don't want to be thinking in silos or having a usual metric system like all the other companies, and end up in silo thinking and projects and lines and things like that. So that's why we came in, and then we had a lot of talkings and a lot of analysis. We explained how we work, and we approached how to see if this fits together. And from the scratch, our first insight came really with one of my greatest fuck-up moments. Yeah. Which was on a trip to Mallorca, when they all flew there. They all flew in to have a big party there to celebrate their success, which they did every year. So that was quite of a ritual. And once we came in, our task was to establish more structure, more stability in the processes, and even define the value stream processes in there. So we had if you want, our mandate was based on build up a healthy blue system, yeah, to support a healthy orange system, and to keep the culture in a strong purple way, like the familiar, friendly based, traditional, lot of cool narratives about the founders and so on and so on. So that was the mandate. And at first on Mallorca, I really fucked up there, because we had different opinions, or I was a bit straightforward on how to lead, because their opinion as leaders was, let people just do their job, don't intervene, do nothing, and the rest will come by itself. So they were into their personal functions as the founders and as the management team, but they thought flat hierarchies mean that you have to do nothing at all and that you just let people loose. So their opinion of leading was not to intervene at all. And what we immediately thought was they need a strong idea of a healthy red, because sometimes you need to make decisions, you need to make a call, and the people working there need a clear framework where they can then evolve their talents and evolve their personal style and do their job and go to peak performance. But self-organization, which is very often a problem in many, many organizations, when they think of self-organization and flat hierarchies, they think of not leading. Yeah, and it's the opposite. It needs a lot of strong leadership, but it's a different leadership, different to management. So when I introduced a bit more, I was asking, or we were doing some sessions with the leaders, and I was interviewing them in a very open space format and things like that. Really two ideas came together, like the strong idea of we don't want to lead, and our idea of but you have to. Somehow you have to give direction and orientation. And then, you know, it's always in the beginning when you start a consultant, or you start consulting a company, both systems have to really to test, if the ideas fit. And in the beginning they said, after this Mallorca session, oh, you don't understand us, you don't know how we work, you don't understand our history and things like that. And I said, oh, I understand very well, but let's see first how we approach our ideas. Maybe it was too straightforward. So this was a really a fail fast and early session. Yeah, it was really good that we know, okay, one step back and let them discover. Yeah, they are not open in every way, in every section. Let them discover themselves.
So, Jochen, can I ask you a question here?
Yep.
So, if you look at the values profile of these founders, what would you say that would drive them? Because you explained there was a strong orange when they started the company, but did they also, were they driven by personal success, or did they have other values that drove them to start this company?
They are different in their profiles. The one I've been told you about, the visionary, he has a lot of yellow and a lot of strong orange. Orange is fast forward, but there's a lot of yellow code. Later we did the ValueMatch assessment. Yeah, so I still know a bit of their profiles, but I haven't I cannot look it up right now. So yes, from my memory, the founders were very different in their profiles. So all in all, in the company, we had a lot of strong orange, some yellow aspects in individuals, but company-wide, a lot of rejections of blue, and also strong purple, right? And also a lot of rejections in red, which is not unusual, for a company like that. Yeah, if we would do this with Audi or Volkswagen, we would have more strong red. That's another aspect. Yeah, but there are other questions here, right? The product, was there a motive to concentrate on this product? Was it really the product, or was it to start a company? No, it was the product. It was based on the product. They had this idea and they said, it's not there, let's start a company, let's make it big. And they are creative, and they at this time and place they based very much on these products. That's why they created different brands. The first brand, then second brand. At the moment they have 7 brands active, and when they changed, first they did just backpacking, later they did clothing as well, shoes, so barefoot shoes and things like that, then children's books. So they go into the narratives, like we taught them, okay, you need strong narratives to support your culture, and not just narratives based on some heroic stories from the founders, but based on your culture aspects. Yeah, so and nowadays the product, or the real on the product side, they have another aspect, which is the learning phase, the learning platforms. So later they built a huge building in Cologne, which is called the Ship. And there you have a lot of platforms for new startups, for founders that come up, they want to learn there. You can have learning sessions there, seminars, and they now speak of a platform to support, to enable the best potential. Yeah. So potential development, peak performance platform, something like that. Yeah, a learning platform. That's what they do. So they open up their company from the product side. We sell this to the side of let's develop and learn together. So this was also one insight we had, that on the outer level they showed a lot of changes. Even the logo changed when we worked with them on their brand, on their archetypal brand. They changed the logo, they changed a bit the colors and things like that. So there was a lot of happening out there on the outer side. But another aspect I will come to that was also a green element in there, because from the start they were speaking of sustainability. Yeah, they wanted to build their products as a sustainable process. And they on the outer side, they did this. On the inside, it was a different story, but that we discovered later in the session with the Agile Dynamics Game. Yeah, that was last year. I will come to that in a moment. Describing the whole process of working the voice chain drivers. How did your own value preferences challenge you? Find yourself learning in the most. Whoa. A personal question: how we as consultants were affected with our value system. Oh. Yes, that's a great question. Very good. Actually, yeah, as we are not just one, but we are more consultants, we regularly have sessions about how did you perceive these people? Are these projections, or is it a clear outside perspective? And that's why we also later didn't just focus on raising good questions and analyzing by our interventions, giving workshops, or giving them the whole opportunity of this is the trainings we can offer you. What would you like? So there was a lot of interaction with the customer, but no assessment. And later, when we did the assessment of ValueMatch, we had a better basis, and we could see if it matches with our ideas. But you know, to answer the question on my personal level, I have a strong yellow approach, and one of my colleagues, the co-founder Michael, he also has a strong yellow and a lot of green. But you know, over the time we learned to really to behave in a, or to how do I put it in good words? We learned to dive into what is fitting to the customer's needs, although we do not like it. Yeah, but even when we are in a seminar, you could see us using different words and different behavior, different rhythms, different timings. And in one seminar, we are working really. We see that it needs a lot of time and emotional work to go through the aspects. And another time, oh, my camera seems to be stuck. You still hear me?
Yeah. And
on the other times, we have we really are very focused and very have a have a strong and fast approach and really push them through. So you would experience us as consultants in very different styles, depending on the setting, depending on the team, depending if it's a personal coaching session or it's a whatever the customer needs, whatever we think he needs. And we regularly talk and do reflections and supervision, yeah, to see if it's a projection or not. Yeah. Is there a difference between complex adaptive systems and living system approaches? If so, what is it for you? Yes, there is a difference. You have questions. Mainly, we're speaking about 4 systems. The one is politics. Yeah, political hierarchy. You see that? Is it visible for you? Yes, good. Yeah, it's the political hierarchies, and you need coalitions with others to be in power. And the ones who are in power, they can say what's there to do. The other system that came up a bit later is the mechanical system. Yeah, like a car. You see that we are as a company, we are like a car or like a motor running. It's very mechanical, and those with the authority to act, yeah, based on their positions, they say what's there to do. Yeah, it's the classical organigram here. Yeah, who's in charge? Yeah, let's see in the organigram who's in charge, because it's positional power, and everyone is part of the system. So that's the mechanical. Many companies are still in the political and mechanical system thinking, yeah, in their language and everything else. Then you have the organic approach, which is more like a stock of bees. They are communicating very much. They're very much in networks, and they are interacting in these networks, and they have a living system that lets in some aspects from the outside and gives out some elements, but it has also a strong border that doesn't let everything through. Yeah, that's a living, breathing system. And the third one, which is on the complex adaptive system side, the CAS, yeah, that is transformative. And transformation means you don't know the result in the end. There's nothing that keeps the system really together, because everything can happen, and it can be in the beginning, it can be the caterpillar, and later it can be the butterfly. And this is a far more open system than the living system, yeah, because it is evolving and transforming all the time. Which is for companies a big threat, because you never know what's coming up next and if it's fitting the market. But the transformative systems have the advantage to the organic living system would be that the transformation can happen. So the outside world and the aspects that is happening in the VUCA world outside, yeah, is really, let's say, it's more from the yellow level we expect here. That you can influence everything that's coming from the outside and find the best fit and easily adapt to that fit. Yeah. Now we have Corona. How to adapt the whole living system to the Corona virus out there, or to the political reactions out there. How to deal with the situation now. That means a lot of transformative action and things like that. Yeah. It's not just a living system that tries to keep alive. It's more transformative. Yeah, can evolve. So, what in SD terms did the founders' personal profiles? Oh yeah, create collective figure profile. Orange dressed in green. Sort of that, but not just the founders. Okay, and also due to the time frame, I skipped to one of the essential breakthroughs and insights we had last year with the company. Because I already told you a lot of these insights we based the whole setting on purple. We helped them create a healthy blue for the value streams. We try to focus for the leaders. We try to focus very much on the yellow aspects of complex adaptive system and how to deal with complexity and dynamics, and then also to invite a healthy red in their leadership approach. And then we worked on many levels with them. And then last year we did the intervention with the Agile Dynamics Game. So this is basically a simulation where a group of people, in this case, we had almost 30 people just from the management. And they play a game for 2 days. The simulation is you build up a world and you build it up in several countries, which means teams. And then the teams they will evolve in their teams. First, they go through the whole spiral, up the whole spiral. You experience from the basic patterns in the tribal organization. You move together, you come together, you can conquer other worlds, which means a lot of red is involved. Then you build up the whole economy in your country. You have to interact, it's getting global. You need a lot of blue for the structures, you need a lot of orange to set up your system. And then the crisis come in, in the 21st century, the VUCA world strikes, with pandemics and a lot of other crises, we have for them. So they have to interact, they have to come together, they have to deal with a lot of interesting moments of truth. And their moment of truth was that they realized what they really did at their best was to build up a whole economy and be very successful with their countries. So successful that they built up so many startups in their countries, they built up whole brands and they were far out. They had so much money and no debt at the bank and things like that. So it was really a prospering kind of strong but solid, how do you say, a Wettstreit, competition. A competition between these parties and these lands. So then the approach was to go more into the green aspect because it needed more the integration of the other levels. To do these integration aspects in the game, you have to do several tasks, body work or answering questions about the yellow level or agility and things like that. And we found that once they had to deal with global crisis, they always had a shadow crash. They crashed back into the shadow of orange, which is if it serves our benefit, our personal benefit, then it's okay to go to have our benefit at first, like America first, also, or our country first. It was completely okay for them. They really didn't make the step to go into a global approach where everyone wins. And this was, they crashed many times, and we did timeouts and reflected with them, and then later again the shadow crash happened, and again and again, and they crashed so many times and make the linear relapse thinking. And at one time they had this breakthrough that at one crisis they suddenly came together. They changed the whole setting of the room. They made round tables, and they sat through the round tables, and they were taking their time, focusing on biggest problems and trying to see what's happening now and how can we deal with this whole situation for the best or for the benefit of all. And there we stopped and let them experience and feel this moment. And it was really a moment of truth because there was so much emotion in the room. There was really, there was sadness that they didn't succeed from the start. And there was also a great relief and a great pleasure that now we have a different opinion. We really did something. And we took a lot of time after the game session to integrate these elements of these true feelings of this is how the green code feels like, because there's so much emotion involved. There's a different timing, there's more calmness, and there's more, it needs more time to see people and to see their needs and to realize what's in it for them. And that was their breakthrough, because then they translated this emotional experience of truthfulness to the company, and they realized, our first ideas of we are such a sustainable oriented company, we're such friendly to the environment, was more based on their personal advantages in Orange. Yeah, and it was more for the outside world to say, we look at our image, it's such a good image. And then it turned to, what can we really do in case of giving the world our insights or sharing our insights with the world. And then came up with these all learning platforms and children's stories and things like that. Yeah, and also different aspects and productions and yeah, it's still a success story. They are really far out, and it's a pleasure to work with them because they're so creative and fast in thinking. Yeah, it's really one of the companies I would strongly recommend even to Frédéric Laloux. If he writes a new book, he could easily use this company as a great example, because they're not many, but this is one of them. Yeah, they can make a difference.
I think that this part of your story, to me, is really key in how you've honored the essence of Spiral Dynamics. Because I've seen numerous projects like that, but often the sustainability is quickly packed as being green or even yellow, without really looking at the depth of, is that really true? What drives it? Because we live in a world where everything is greenwashed. So a lot of the sustainability is very attractive to Orange as marketing. And I think you've done a great job in uncovering that from what I hear in your story in there, and that I really appreciate that.
Right, thank you. Yeah, they did the job. We provided interventions or methods.
Yeah, but you kept the, that's where you've kept to the core.
Yeah.
And then you can see when you do that, there actually is a transformation happening, and it sounds like it took a few years for them to realize it. But by keeping, but if you would have come in there and you said, oh, that's green, and that's yellow, they would have felt green and yellow, and nothing would have changed. They would have kept, and now you've actually given them the transformation process, and that's, that is really different from how many projects go. That really for me stands out in the work that you've done.
Yeah. I think one of the key aspects was that we first started to create landscapes with them. Once we introduced the model of Spiral Dynamics and how they can use it and implement it in their company, it's just a cognitive model at first, and you don't know on what level they understand this model. So that was our approach to give them the creativity to create maps of, this is the purple map, this is the blue map, and things like that. And that was due to their creative process. They could easily dive into these landscapes, really. And but still it was a cognitive or a model approach and a theory. And then later the experiences came in. So at first they understood it from the brain, from the head, and then they understood it by heart. And this is the approach,
Yeah.
And of course, they were open, because we also tried this intervention with other companies already. But if you don't have an open system, they won't be ready for the deep personal experience. Yeah, because it needs a body and mind experience.
Yeah. Well, that's also one of the questions I had, is that because I can see in your story the strong orange and all that, but then their openness to this personal exploration and to this personal feedback, to me, rings very much green.
Yeah.
So did you find it in the profiles as well, or is that just, how do you see that?
Yeah, I do not remember. I do not remember quite well. And to be honest, we have to delete these profiles. I cannot look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, due to the whole crazy data-driven things in Germany, we cannot keep those profiles. So from my memory, there was also active green, but first purple and orange was clearly upfront. Yeah, and that's why we also don't push too much into the green aspects, because their quality lies in orange.
Yeah.
But our first thought was to give them the healthy orange, not the setbacks or the shadow aspects of orange, but to give them a real idea of how healthy orange could work as a company in the world. And combined with this purple family-like culture with strong narratives and a whole lot of very creative, very connected community, they really have a strong identity as a company. And these two in combination, they are great. Yeah, it's not that we aspire to push companies to somewhere. Now you do green and you integrate. Now you do yellow. That is not the way we think or evolving systems work. Yeah. So it needs to evolve, and we support what's there. We look at the potential, and that's basically what we did. And now we see a lot of healthy purple and good narratives with healthy orange, and they still are, with a healthy orange, they can move a lot, and that's the energy it needs at the moment. So some healthy green to have the global perspectives and to really be there as a human inside a company. That is also important, but not too much to slow them down or to.
No, but it seems to somehow have been present. Otherwise, you would have never been able to do this whole process. Yeah, so that's what I find curious in this. The other thing that stood out to me is that when you described the purple bonding, basically, in these trips they made, but this may be my personal. I just say pitfalls when it comes to purple, but to me, it actually sounded that there was a lot of group pressure, and it didn't completely sound healthy.
No.
It's very, so much group pressure, and I used to work for Microsoft. I recognize a lot of that sort of play, work hard and play hard sort of thing, and a lot of group pressure in that. Is that also how you experienced it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. And not everyone was happy with that. The people that came in from the start were quite happy or seemed quite happy with it. And they were really celebrating a lot. And, when I came in, and it was clear to me that if I cannot leave the party at 1:00, because then they look at you and say, oh, come on, you cannot leave. It's just 1:00. And they were partying all night. So you would imagine, okay, it's a system where you cannot say no. There's not much autonomy there, because healthy autonomy means to really, you can say no, speak up without fear and guilt, and you can say no. Here's how I want to work, or I need my sleep, or something like that. And this wasn't on the subconscious level. This wasn't accepted, and people felt that, and this put a lot of pressure. Even after work, if you have family and kids and you want to go home, and everyone tells you, no, you cannot go home yet. Come on, let's go to the pub and have a beer, which can put a lot of pressure, because you want to be part of the community, but you have strong rules that being part of the community means you have to stick to our rules as a founders. That's why we change narratives.
That's a pitfall of purple there. The last question I have is that, so you're talking about the leaders sort of leaving everybody free, and not having so much structure in their management. And then you talked about bringing in sort of a red component where they're more decisive, right? Yeah. It sounds to me that there may have been space to also go into the route of more self-management, where you don't necessarily put in the authoritative route, but where you create certain decision-making structures. So you basically start to implement blue structure, but more into procedures, and go more into like the self-management that Lalou describes. Have you considered going that route, or was there a trade? Has that been looked at? Or
we did right from the start. One of the basic trainings we offered was self-management. We did a lot of self-management trainings through the company. Yeah, really, like from time management to how do I deal with my work? How do I communicate? How do I set priorities? Organize my workspace and things like that. So from the scratch, we focused on that, and then we focused on team management, like how do you set up self-organized teams? But even self-organized teams need leadership, but the leadership sometimes has to be decisive, and sometimes you have to make a point when there's a lot of insecurity, or you need fast developments. But we taught them more it's not always the red leadership. Yeah, it's more a healthy green leadership that does a framework of principles, and within these principles we work, and with deep respect. But still we accept that there are hierarchies in an organization, and that's also a rejection of green, that many companies nowadays think flat hierarchies or no hierarchies means that you can run a strong organizational system, which is not true, or it doesn't fit my experience as an organizational consultant at all. Because you need a clear orientation, you need a clear strategy and a purpose within the company. And once the company's purpose fit to the personal purposes, and everyone knows and is self-aware, this is my personal life purpose, and it fits, or it goes along and flows with the company's purpose, then you have a good fit. Then you have identity. Yeah, so it's not easy to explain. We did a lot of trainings with them. Even for the leaders, we did a lot of the leadership journey, which means you go through personal transformation. We even had other therapists in there which worked with transgenerational aspects of these leaders, of the leaders' personalities, just to give them the opportunity to really dive deep and look into their rejections and shadow aspects in order to then create their full potential. That let them be strong and solid and confident, and then they can lead. Yeah. So we did a lot of also change management. How do you lead through changes, and how do you enable or accompany people through these landscapes of change? So we did a lot of self-organization trainings with them. Yeah.
Great. I let it run over time because
many are saying
drop out, and
it was half an hour.
Wouldn't have done your story service to cut it off earlier.
Right.
But I think it's a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any last questions?
Any last questions?
We could talk for weeks.
Personally, I would just be curious, Jochen, hearing you. It seems you had massive interventions with this company. Mm-hmm. Looks like a lot of days you spend with them. Mm-hmm. And I have a curiosity question, which is about, in bold figures, what would what is it like, the investment of time they accepted to have next to you? And also, I saw you in one of your interventions, as we know both together, that you bring spiral dynamic in a subtle way, not upfront, but you really infuse people first before disclosing spiral dynamics. So my second question would be, what are the learnings and things you could share into how do you bring an organization to then become spiral dynamic fluent, but not upfront, most likely. On these two aspects, could you just say a few words? For us as consultant, I think it's often a big question, in my view, for addressing spiral dynamics in a smart way.
Okay. Well, concerning the first question, how much time we used, and I cannot tell. I don't know. Simply, I don't count. It's, we were there. It's always, we're working with a, it's like musical setting, yeah? So you have all the levels of trainings and interventions, and at one level, they all come together, and another level we work separately with leaders. Then we have teams together, then we have some small coaching sessions, and so on and so on. So I cannot tell you how much time we spent there, and with how many trainers and consultants we were there. But in the end, for the bigger, we made one big event every year where the whole company came together for 2 days to learn. That is one setting we call Campus. And this learning campus involves, depending on the group, but 10 up to 12 or 15 consultants from Five for Success. So there we are a big group. And then the working with the management is focused on 1 or 2 consultants like Michael and me, for instance. And then
you were meeting the leadership team like once a month, or 2 times a month, or once every 2 months, or what would be your estimate?
That changed every year.
Right, sure.
So every year we set up the elements, the learning elements, and the rhythm for the next year. So we create our processes really in loops. And every year there are different rhythms and different settings depending on their level of learning, depending on their size, depending on what's the next thing to learn here. And that's also how we implement Spiral Dynamics. We don't do that from the start. Often we first, sometimes we only show the Aqua model or something that are with different perspectives. Sometimes we also show a little Spiral Dynamics just to give them a few, let's say, a few ideas of differentiation in the company, if it helps, if the picture helps. And first they get the picture and they get the theory, and later when we see there is openness, we dive into deeper processes and let them understand the model on a deeper level. But it very much depends on our mandate. When we work with a brand, and our mandate is to build up the whole brand, then we work with archetypes and we work with Spiral Dynamics, because that works well together. When we have the mandate to work with the structure of the company, then you don't need the model at all. You work with the blue elements, but it's our background, and we discuss this in the background, but we don't show them the model. If we think it's helpful, then we show the model. Okay. If we think they're not open for this, or they don't need this approach, then we don't tell. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really would like to wrap it up for today. So thanks again, Jochen. I think you've done a great job, and you've given a great example of working with this in practice. Find it, it's very inspiring. Thank you for it.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for connecting and putting in your energy here to make this a lively session.
Thank you, Hauke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here's my email address in case you would like to share or discuss more. With more time, we can catch up, right?
But yeah, well, I'll discuss with you how we share the video, and then you can also share more of your details so people can contact you. Yeah.
Great.
Good.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.